Welcome back to the Rainy Room Podcast. Tonight, as the rain gently taps the windows, let's slow down and take a quiet journey through the life of a man who never chased the spotlight, but whose legacy runs across tracks, courts, and streets all over the world. Phil Knight, the co-founder of Nike. His story is not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's a testament to belief. Belief in an idea, belief in motion, and above all, belief in oneself, even when the path is still hidden. Phil Knight was born in 1938 in Portland, Oregon. He was shy, introspective, and often felt out of place. His father, a newspaper publisher, didn't quite understand his son's obsession with running or his stubborn dreams. But Phil loved to run not just competitively, but spiritually. He once said, "When you run on the track, you can't lie to yourself." That raw honesty would shape his approach to business years later. He ran track at the University of Oregon under legendary coach Bill Bowerman, a man obsessed with performance and innovation. Bowerman wasn't just shaping athletes, he was experimenting with better shoes, slicing and molding them to improve speed by fractions of a second. He didn't know it then, but he was co-designing the future. After college, Phil earned an MBA from Stanford, and it was there, during a class on entrepreneurship, that he wrote a paper with a single bold idea. What if high-quality, low-cost running shoes could be imported from Japan and compete with the overpriced German brands dominating the market? That idea became his obsession. In 1962, Phil traveled to Japan and pitched his idea to a shoe company called Onitsuka. He convinced them to let him distribute their Tiger shoes in the United States. When they asked for the name of his company, he improvised. Blue Ribbon Sports. With no real plan, no warehouse, and no staff, Phil started selling shoes out of the trunk of his car at track meets. It wasn't glamorous. He was often broke. He worked as an accountant by day to stay afloat and poured every spare moment into building something that didn't even have a name yet. But slowly, Blue Ribbon grew. He brought on his old coach Bowerman as a partner, and together, they weren't just selling shoes, they were rethinking them. Bowerman began experimenting with designs, and one day he poured rubber into a waffle iron, creating the now famous waffle sole that gripped tracks better than anything else. It was unconventional. It was strange. It was revolutionary. Yet, success didn't come easy. There were fights with suppliers, threats from competitors, lawsuits, cash flow disasters. Phil was not a born businessman. He hated meetings, distrusted marketing, and rarely sought attention. But what he had was something deeper: obsession. He believed in the product. He believed athletes deserved better. In 1971, after a breakdown in the relationship with Onitsuka, Phil and his team decided to launch their own brand. They needed a new name. A designer suggested Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. Phil didn't love it at first, but he didn't have time to argue he had orders to fill. So Nike it was. They needed a logo too, and paid a student $10.35 to draw the now iconic swoosh. It wasn't perfect, but Phil knew momentum mattered more than polish. From there, Nike sprinted. They signed emerging athletes like Steve Prefontaine, who wasn't just a runner, he was a rebel, a symbol of defiance and passion. Later came Jordan, Tiger, Serena, LeBron. But it all started with one man, a trunk full of shoes, and a refusal to give up. Phil Knight's leadership wasn't flashy. He didn't crave fame. He rarely spoke publicly, but he built a company that spoke for itself. He believed business was war without bullets, and ran Nike with both fear and fire in his chest. He once said, "The cowards never started, and the weak died along the way that leaves us." Those weren't just words, they were how he lived. He endured decades of doubt, debt, and legal chaos, but he never quit. By the early 1980s, Nike had taken over the American market. By the 1990s, it was global. Today, it's a cultural symbol not just of sport, but of ambition, rebellion, identity. Phil Knight stepped down as CEO in 2004, but his fingerprint remains on everything Nike does. His memoir, Shoe Dog, revealed his insecurities, his fears, and his deep gratitude for the team that built the dream beside him. It was raw, honest, and deeply human, just like the man himself. What makes Phil Knight's story special isn't just the success, it's how uncertain, how fragile, how impossible it felt for years. It's a reminder that behind every household name, there's often a quiet storm, someone who stayed up late, shipping boxes, skipping paychecks, walking alone toward a vision only they could see. As the rain continues to fall tonight, let this be your takeaway. You don't have to be loud to make history. You don't need to have it all figured out before you start. And sometimes, the boldest thing you can do is just keep going. This has been Rainy Room Podcast. Thank you for listening.